All right. Welcome to Paradigm Plus Approach. This is session 5, Nurturing and Responsive Relationships. Special thanks to our funders, Department of Human Services, Division of Child Care, Division of Development Disabilities, Early Intervention Program, Division of Behavioral Health, Division of Child Welfare, the Colorado Health Foundation, the Temple Haynes Foundation, Mile High United Way. Let's keep in mind all of these wonderful funders have poured money into the research for these evidence-based practices. Our agenda, I'll be covering learning objectives, logistics, importance of building relationships with children, activity, reflective inventory, research, supporting building relationships, hot buttons and reframing activity, and Nicole will be going essential caregiving characteristics, attachment and communication, using positive feedback and encouragement, and I'll be wrapping up with thought seeds and quality improvement. Our learning objectives today, participants will learn the importance of building nurturing relationships with children. We'll be able to identify communication skills and other strategies to help engage children in trusting, nurturing, and responsive relationships. Participants will also learn about the research that supports the use of providing positive feedback to the children and how to do it. Our logistics. The last time we were here, we went over our ground rules, and it's start and end on time, minimize sidebar conversation, respecting one another, participation, patience with each other. Is anything else that wants to be added to our ground rules? Are we good? Yeah, okay. Our parking lot is located over on that back door. If you have any questions or comments, please post a post-it. Nicole or I will get back to you on those. We'll be reviewing our session handouts.
Let's do that right now.
This is our session handouts reflective inventory, and it's handout 1.3. Reframing activity, and this is module 1, handout 1.3. Attachment, handout 24. Handout 5.4a, and strategies for encouraging language. 7 characters of a responsive teacher. Environmental arrangement strategies to tech functional communication. Strategies for promoting nurturing responsive relationships with families. Strategies for promotion, same one.
Yeah, well, it's for toddlers.
24 to
same thing.
36 months. Building positive teacher-child relationships. That's handout 12. Handout 5.6, the checklist for nurturing responsive relationships.
Oops. That's still part of it.
Okay. And this is your action plan. Handout 5.7, nurturing and responsive relationships. Handout 5.8, session 5, nurturing and responsive relationships, thought seeds.
Mine does it. Oh, references.
And these are your references, nurturing and responsive relationships.
Okay.
All right, our bathrooms are located down the hall to your right. There is a kitchen right across the hall, so if you need coffee, anything else, feel free. There's a vending machine. There's also water, microwave, all that good stuff in there. And we do have a comfort station in the back, so if you feel like you need Tylenol, Hot drops, that's back there too. All right, nurturing and responsive relationships. We're on special quest building blocks. Can somebody read this for me? Go ahead, Leandra, thank you.
Relationship, an emotional or other connection between people.
Why is it important to build relationships with children? The relationship that we build with children, families, and colleagues are the foundation of everything. It's important to build these relationships early on rather than waiting until there's a problem. Children learn and develop in the context of a relationship and is responsive, consistent, and nurturing. Children with the most challenging behaviors especially need these relationships, and yet their behaviors are often prevent them from benefiting from those relationships. Can I get somebody else to read off of this? Like Leandria.
Adults' time and attention are very important to children, and we need to be sure that we are giving them that time and attention at times, other than when they are engaging in challenging behavior. Parents and other colleagues are critical partners in building children's social and emotional competence. We should all work together to ensure children's success and prevent challenging behavior.
Thank you. Let's ask ourselves, why do I engage with a child frequently before a challenging behavior erupts? So why do we engage with children at that time, like right before something happens? And what do you do to connect with the parent and with the child to prevent challenging behaviors?
Are you asking a question?
Yeah.
Communication, working together to see what's going on with the kid, try to help. That's why it's important to get involved with the family.
That's good. Thank you. Anybody else? Leandria?
Stay connected, see if it's a similar pattern, like maybe they do these things at home, so then you can get with the parent, like if there's certain methods that the parents are using at home, then we can try to incorporate those so the child will know, like, what you do at home is what you would do here.
Right, very good.
To add on that one, to communicate with the parents to make sure nothing's going on at home that could be changing their behavior at school.
Right, so something's happening like mom and dad moved out or
Right.
new baby. That's a good one, Kaylee, thank you. Sarah?
Well, I was gonna add on to that. There was a situation where during nap time, his kid would just like start screaming. Like the lights would turn off and all of a sudden he would just start screaming. But normally before that he would sit quietly and then eventually he'd fall asleep on his own. I could just tell him to sit still and he'd fall asleep, but he didn't want to sleep. He didn't want to do anything. So I talked to the parents like later that day. I was like, this has been happening for like the last 3 days or whatever it was. That he just doesn't want to take a nap. He's like, oh, it's because we let him sleep in later, and I'm sure like by the time you're there, he's not tired. And they woke up later, and he would come in later the day.
So he just didn't want to
He
take a
just
nap.
didn't want to sleep, and that was
Yeah.
his way. Like he wasn't able to express while he was
That's
dreaming.
how he was expressing,
Expressing,
right?
yeah.
Like just crying and not
Yeah. really
really having those words to say like, I don't want to take a nap because I'm not tired. Very good. I like that one. What are the indicators of social emotional competence? What are the signs that are participating in a relationship? What do you observe?
This is all, we're gonna watch some
Okay.
videos coming
Yeah,
up.
we're going to be watching some videos.
But these are the questions that we want you to think about while you're doing that.
And after those videos, we'll come back and reflect on those, and then we'll be answering these 3 questions.
Well, we said video, but it's really just a picture.
Our pictures, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that they're engaged? Like, what gives those indicators? Like,
Eye contact.
very good. What else? Smiling. Just really up close and personal.
Just physically holding her.
Yes. They seem happy in the moment. She's actually even touching his chest. Like, it's a really good picture. Anything else with observing?
Comfortable?
They're comfortable, yeah. They're not tight or just angry. They're actually responding off one another's emotions. Very good. What about this one? Excuse me?
They look playful.
Playful?
Kid is extremely happy.
Yeah. They look like they're doing a puzzle on the floor and they're just like happy.
She's down on his level.
Yeah. Not overlooking him, just right next to each other, that really comfort and closeness that children do need. This one's a really sweet one. What about this one?
It looks interactive, like they're playing peekaboo or something.
Yeah. They're both, the baby has his feet on the mama's belly. She has him on his lap, so they're really engaging in each other.
Looks like the baby's anticipating what she's
What's
gonna
she-
do next.
Yeah, very good. And they're out here just looking at some flowers and
It's something new, it's exploring, adventuring,
maybe she's teaching them some new things about gardening or.
it was fascinating.
Yes.
And so even though like she's showing, he looks a little confused or maybe even apprehensive or worried that like, what is this thing? She's doing a fabulous job modeling, like, this is comfortable, this is safe, I'm here for you, I'm supporting you, so that he feels comfortable to start that exploring process.
Very engaging, very loving.
Not excited, very comfortable.
He must be well known in the center, right? Like, he's a dad, janitor, like, they love this. There's sometimes that people don't have, you know, the male figures in their life, and we're lucky to have a couple at our center. And I just think it's nice to have that, you know, men there to have these positive relationships. That's a good one.
Trust too, because smaller children, they don't just go up to people and hug them. So to be able to see him and trust him and want to engage
Right.
in interaction with him.
And building those relationships with all those children. All of them are just like waiting for a hug. It's really cute.
All their attention's on him. Like you'll notice that they aren't playing with other toys or something. They're all focused on what he's doing
What he's gonna do.
when it's their turn.
Yeah. I like that. Oh. And they're reading a book, and the book is called Whose Knows? Maybe they do really like books, right? So they're just on each other. She's on her mom's lap or her aunt's lap, and she's laughing at her.
They're doing hands-on learning too,
Yeah.
that's their nose.
That's a good one. Let me see that. Anybody for this one?
I mean, they're both showing that it's okay to trust or interact and
Make friends still on their own side, meeting
Like a
someone
little person.
new.
Both moms are smiling, so they're like, hey, it's okay. We can play. He's actually reaching out for his friend. It's so cute. Every child needs one person who's crazy about him. Keep in mind, not every person or child has a person that's crazy about them. Like, we've had situations that, you know, they don't have anybody, they're in foster care, and they're in special circumstances, and they're coming to our center, and if you are a part of the center, you want to build a relationship with that child, even if it's just in that moment of time, if they're there for 2 years, a couple months, but you giving that special attention to them is going to make a life-changing situation for them. They don't always get it, and they are bounced from, place to place, and sometimes even their home lives are like that. So for us, for nurturing those relationships with our children, it's very vital to have that. Okay, reflective inventory. As we review this activity, remember, not everybody has an adult that is satisfying just like children. If you do not have a satisfying adult, reflect on what would make one. So if you look at your handout 1.3, reflective inventory, and I'll give you 10 to 15 minutes, and this is an individual one. And on the paper, it says, think about satisfying relationships in your life. Name 3 things that make it satisfying. Think about messages received about relationships in your family and culture. Try to put those messages into words. And also think about yourself as a child. Do you behave in your relationships with children the same way important adults behave with you? Playful, cautious, honest, patient, etc. Try to put into words what you would know to be true of your behavior with the children in your life today. So I'll give you 10 minutes to think about that, and we'll come back and do that reflective inventory. Do you have any questions? No questions? You guys are good? Okay. All right, I don't think we discussed this, but we'll be doing lunch at 12:30. So if you guys need to order, you guys can order so you guys can bring it back here, or they can deliver it. So feel free to do that. So with reflective inventory, for me, a really important person in my life was my grandma. So it was a very nurturing relationship. Like, she was always there with hugs, the comfort food, because that's more culture based, like the whole stuff with like tortillas, like if you're sad, come over, I have something for you, and talk it out. She was one that I could go to at any time to be like, okay, well, and really express my emotions to. I really didn't do it to anybody else. So she was very important in my life, and I think that's what makes me the person that I am today, because how she was so kind, gentle, and loving, and she showed me those aspects in life and culturally. That's what I try to do with my kids, not so much of just trying to, stuff their faces. But it was a really good experience for me. So that's one of the relationships that I enjoyed in my life. One more is, I was a daycare kid growing up, so I was in daycare pretty much until I was like 10. So, but I had this really special daycare teacher. I was like 4, getting ready to turn 5, and she was amazing. Like, and I think that's why I have really good communication skills, because she was just always like, Hope, how are you doing? I'm like, she's asking me, like, how am I doing? Like, I come up from a big family. We have 6 people. So somebody taking the time to be like, Hope, how are you doing? Not saying that my family didn't care, but she was actually interested about how I was feeling. So just little things like that. When taking a nap, like, she'd be sitting down having lunch at the table, and she's like, come on, Hope, come sit by me. You can read a story. Let's do something. So just the individualized attention that she gave me, I try to do that in childcare. So it's really important for me to do that for the kids, because they need that. They don't get it all the time. And not saying that my mom wasn't good, but she was a single parent trying to raise 6 kids. I got it from my grandma, my grandpa, but knowing that teachers that cared about me, it just hit home. So that's why I'm doing it, because it's just, you don't get it all the time. So does anybody have any people in your life or in your culture that's really impacted you as a child and as an adult, if you want to share?
their parents and that
Right.
one, but we didn't have anybody besides our parents. Because my mom side's from Hawaii, my dad's side's from Puerto Rico, so.
It was just you guys.
Yeah. She was pretty awesome. Taught me to always treat others how I wanted to be treated. Always make sure people felt better, don't put anybody down, and I appreciate that now.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Shelley?
I actually have one that she works with you guys, Jamie Alexander. She was more or less a very good fit in my life, as far as her storiness and how real she was, and this is how you're gonna learn how to do things, you know. So she was more of that. I know her on a church level too. So she was more of that spiritual mom and that positive reinforcement for a positive person in my life until now. Well, still up to now.
I've known Shelley for a long time too, and she was a very positive person in my life. When my son had passed away,
Yeah.
she had came in and was just like, oh, I'm here for you. She talked to me. Her dad was like, I can give the eulogy because he's a minister, so thank you for that. But she was really a positive person. So thank you, because you're an awesome teacher. Anybody else?
All 5 of my nieces and nephews come from broken families, and it's really important to me to kind of try to fill that void when I'm able to. Just be positive for them and a super good role model and showing them the right way, and maybe that because their dad or mom is in the picture that someone else can give them that same love.
Right. And you said that you get a lot from it too, though, Kate. You said it makes you feel powerful.
I do. It gives me empowerment to know that I can really change the feelings and emotions and confidence of those kids.
And it takes a village to raise kids, so that's amazing. I like that, Nicole.
I wanted to just talk about it, particularly this month. It's April, so it's Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. This takes this whole idea of having a cheerleader up to a whole nother level, to be the voice for someone that may not have a voice. In my neighborhood currently, I have a teenager that goes to school with my daughter who's being physically abused by his father. He comes over for breakfast every morning, meets her to get on the bus. We've documented, we've made reports to DHS. I've been going to the school to partner with the school counselors. And here's this kid who is now 14 years old. He's short, not that that matters, but he's just small, and his personality is not small. And he has not been like, well, maybe my dad. No, my dad hits me. Look what he did to me. I mean, he is advocating, and nobody is helping this guy. Nobody. Well, not nobody, right? We're there. But the system is so broken, and how do we get these kids the help that they need? And how do we make them feel loved? How do we make them feel valued? How do we make them feel wanted? When even in the home, the one place that should be the most safe place for any child is not safe. That's scary. So when we're not just talking about, hey, how's your day, stuff all the time, which is important, it starts there to make someone feel wanted and valued and appreciated. But when those kids that have those challenging behaviors, same kid got suspended from school for writing expletives on the wall. Do you think he's a bad kid and that's why he did it? No, he's acting out all of the anger and frustration of the experience at home. And so you see those little memes on Facebook. It's about those kids that are the most, that appear to be the most damaged or hurting or outlandish. Those are the ones that really need us to be those cheerleaders and champions for them. So, in the spirit of this month, I hope that you guys just revisit being the fact that you are mandatory reporters. There doesn't have to be any proof or marks on somebody to make a call. Words are invisible things that happen to these kids, and they need us to stand up and be their voice. That is all.
Thank you. And I did miss the introduction. I am Hope. I've been in childcare for over 20 years. I'm currently doing administration and helping in classes, doing the Pyramid Plus trainer to become a trainer. I have 4 kids. I've had a lot of life experiences to deal with the situations that I've dealt with every day at the child care, so it does help. Nicole has been so amazing. She not only is doing my training, but she just finished my boss's training, and he just finished his 6 sessions last week. And I just wanted to say thank you, Nicole, because it's really just tremendous, because she's been doing like, what, 12, she'll be doing 12 classes in a matter of like 4 or 5 months, so thank you, it's a lot, but I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure to train with you guys. I'm thankful for our community that they're getting this information out to everyone so we can do our jobs better, feel a little bit more competent when we have those kids with challenging behavior. So this is my passion, and yeah, thank you, Hope.
Sorry, I just got excited starting session 5. All right. So we're good. Does anybody have anything to add to this? No? Okay. Our research, adults responsibly shape how verbal the child will be, how emotional secure he will feel, and how positive his adult relationships will become. Caregivers' interactional behavior that includes some aspect of explicit contingent responsiveness was the best predictor of secure infant attachment. So we really want to give purpose when we're talking to these infants. So like if we're talking to him and he wants his cup or his bottle, you know, we can actually really say, well, here's your blue cup. Would you like some more milk? Instead of just having it, well, here's your blue cup. Like, they're not gonna learn, it's just, we need to talk them through with everything so they have the words later on when they're in toddlers and the 3-year-old classrooms, they can know that they'll have that verbiage that they can say those things. And when they're crying, we want to be responsive. Just always check on their needs. You know, like, hey, Victor, I see that you're crying. As soon as I get done with Bella, I'll be right over. I know that you're upset, but let me finish what I'm doing and I will attend to your needs. So if we are just not like, hold up, wait a minute, I'll be right there. Like, you know, let them know that they feel important and their emotions are just important too. So it makes them feel like it's okay for them to show those behaviors. Like, it's okay to cry, it's okay to be upset. Do you have anything to add on that, Nicole? Here's our video. It's the still-faced experiment. What does this experiment tell us? What if the child is non-responsive? What is the effective responsiveness of the caregiver? And it's 2 minutes and 48 seconds.
Can someone get the light for us over there, please? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 34 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in.
So what does this experiment tell us?
Very aware.
Be very aware.
They are.
Oh, they are very aware. I see this happen in the centers a lot when parents come in and they're just on their phone and their kids are just walking by like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And they just don't drop their phones. They're just completely shut down from their kids, from the teachers. So there's like no interaction. And I feel like it should be more like put your phones in your pocket, get your kids to your classroom, say those meaningful goodbyes, I will be back. Just to have those emotional connections. It's just like the still face, but you're on your phone or you're doing something else. And I know we're all busy, but take those time, you know, in the middle of class and really tell them that you're there and you're supporting them in the stuff that they do. Go ahead, Nicole.
So, in addition to whatever, us as parents being on our phones, us being distracted by, oh, I need to wash these placemats instead of attending to the kids right now. We have lots of responsibilities there when we're working at our jobs. But what I would challenge you guys to think about is, if you think about that baby tried so hard to appropriately get that mom's attention. She smiled, she made eye contact, she pointed, and she did everything right. That baby obviously has social emotional competence for that age level. That mom has spent a lot of time making that baby feel safe and loved and created that baseline foundation, right? So I have a 12 and 15-year-old, and I'm guilty of this all the time. They'll be like, hey mom, right? And I'm busy prepping slides to come train. I'm like, yeah. And I go right back to doing this. And they're trying to tell me about their day. And they give up and they just eventually stop talking and then they go and get a snack. So even at this age and as busy as I am, it doesn't have to be a cell phone. My kids appropriately got my attention. That didn't work. So now what happens? Oh, we go upstairs and he put the Bluetooth speaker on and he put that song on, y'all gonna make me lose my mind. And did he turn it on so he could listen to it in the shower? He turned that thing up so loud. Why? Because he knew, Alex! Yeah, Mom? Now I got your attention, right? And so the same thing with that baby. She arched her back, she says screech, and she breaks down crying, right? Usually, if you watch in your classrooms, all kids will try the right way.
Right.
By the time they're doing something to irritate you, and now you're super irritated, and now they're a bad kid, it was your fault. It was not that child's fault. You were not aware, you were not present, you were not paying attention, you did not pick up on those nonverbal cues, those little subtle things they're doing to communicate. And they resort to using challenging behavior. Why? Because it works. Because you don't ever pay attention to them until they chuck the block at the other girl. She starts screaming or whatever it is. So be careful. Be more aware to look out when they are getting it right. I love the way you're being so patient. Just give me one more second and I will be right with you. I love how you tapped me and didn't chuck a block at my head, right? Okay. That's all, Hope. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. When caregivers do not respond consistently and supportively to infants crying, their brain structures are impacted and are more likely to impact later emotional regulation in preschool. All right, our hot buttons. What are your hot buttons? How do they affect your relationships with a child? How do they affect your relationships with families or colleagues? Sorry, I went ahead of myself.
All right, I'm going to turn on the lights. Prepare your peepers. This might be. And then they have to pass it.
All right, guys, so what we're gonna do is, it's like a 10-minute long large group activity, and we're just gonna be throwing the ball. Whoever catches it is gonna yell out their hot buttons that affect them. Can you guys please stand? Do you guys have any questions about the activity? No. Let Nicole pass it up here.
We're just going to go ahead and do this activity as a large group. I'm sure it's easy for us to tap into what our hot buttons are. You know, it's always easier to complain than to find something maybe nice to say about the difficult child in your room. So this should be really easy. She's gonna pass the ball, you catch it, you tell us what bugs you. What's your pet peeve?
It has to be like shouting, like faster.
My mom.
Spitting.
Spitting. Okay, pass the ball to someone else.
I'd say not listening in regards to like running away. You know, whenever it's time to do something, then let's run away instead of getting in line.
Avoidance.
Avoid. There you go. Avoidance.
Running away. Okay, pass it on.
Bossing.
Refusal.
Tattling.
Mine's when they don't call me Miss Bree, it's teacher.
Oh, yes.
Running.
Screaming.
When kids talk bad about themselves.
Oh, yeah. I like that. Yeah. Self, putting self down. Okay.
Biting.
Scratching or pinching faces.
I think that's getting when they get so frustrated they kick their shoes off. That makes me so mad.
Stripping. Kicking their shoes off. Stripping?
I know a lot of
I heard
Other
that.
things we can talk about. at home.
I think it's just a toddler thing.
I'm whining.
Whining. All right. We are out of circles. Unless you want me to keep writing.
Probably when they're like punching their friends.
Punching friends.
Okay, Lauren, you'll be the
No. For everything.
Punching friends and saying no.
Thank you, Lauren.
Give me more.
Yeah, I like to.
No, the preschoolers, like, if it's raining, like, give me more oranges. I'm what? Ask.
So when these children are doing these type of behaviors, how does it affect our relationship with the children? They can feel like
Cuts it down, yeah.
stressed.
Diminishes it.
Anybody else?
Test your patience.
Can you
It's tough to model sometimes like how you really want them to behave when you're stressed and your patience level is being tested completely, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just makes you do it more.
Yeah, but I'm like, we know you're getting angry. We're just
Oh, you
gonna
don't
keep
want
on-
me to spit?
Yeah. Keep on going. Anybody else? So if your kids are running, Miss Celicia, how does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me want to keep telling them to use their walking feet.
When we get these hot buttons, we kind of have to reframe ourselves and be like, well, it's not about us, it's about the kids. Let's try to see what we can do with the running. Does anybody have something to say with, like, let's not run, or we use running feet for outside, or any other special skills, or can we use a big, loud stomping feet? Those of you who don't mind, like, the loud stomps instead of the running. Let's be like dinosaurs, and that'll refrain from him running, you getting upset. What about biting or spitting? What can we do? Spit in the trash can, I like that one. Would you like a drink of water? Maybe, he's got something in his mouth and he needs something to drink. Let's give them some more indicators, like to use those verbal responses, like, what's going on? I know they might be two, but you can still try to direct them, be like, oh, are you thirsty? Is there something in your mouth? Can I see? Those are really good ones. So, moving on. Managing personal stress, thought control. Can I get somebody to read this slide? Anybody? Leandra, thank you.
Upsetting thoughts. That child is a monster. This is getting ridiculous. He'll never change. I'm sick of putting out fires. Calming thoughts. This child is testing to see where the limits are. My job is to stay calm and help him learn better ways to behave. I can handle this. I'm in control. They have just learned some powerful ways to get control. I would teach them more appropriate ways to behave.
As adults, when we get upset, what do we usually do? Breathe?
Do things
Like, really upset. I
I
think,
have them.
right, but when we're really upset, myself included, I might get angry, I might start yelling, I can't control some of the things that I've said. And as an adult, it's hard for me. So when these kids are frustrated and they're out of control, and we feel like, you know what, he should regulate his emotions, to me that's like impossible, because as adults, we're still trying to figure out, okay, well, I got upset because, somebody hit my car, but I'm just so angry, and I'm just like, but that emotion can be like that with the children if his car got taken away, because he doesn't know how to express, like, gosh, I'm sad, or he just hit me. So if we expect, that much of kids, it's just we need to kind of regulate ourselves to be like, okay, well, maybe this really does mean something to him. Let's try to find out what's going on and put out the fires, like we said. Managing personal stress, thought control again. I wonder if the corner grocery store is hiring. He ruins everything. This is going to be the worst year of my career. Calming thoughts. I feel undervalued right now. I need to speak to a support system or my peers or supervisor. Having her in my class is going to be a wonderful professional development experience. I don't know why this happens, but usually, because I was a 5-year-old teacher, I always got the kids who just didn't want to listen, and they just paired me with them, like he would be like right about turning 5, but they're like, Hope, you can handle it. It's all of you. So, I don't know, I think I have a good knack for doing the really high, not feisty kids. Like, they're just like raring to go, just wanting to do everything, or, he just loses his emotions and he just can't talk. But they paired me with these kids, and I just have a way with them that is just, that's what I feed off of it. And I'm just like, okay, well, maybe it's something that he needs to sit down and, do. But I've seen this happen where teachers are like, no, he needs to listen. Like, this is what he's going to do. Well, he's having a stressful moment. So if we put it aside, like, okay, Bob, like, you're going to be okay. Like, let's get you some paper and pencil. Like, you just want to color. So, yeah.
Before we do this activity, I want to tie some things in about the hot buttons, okay? All of you shared some pretty common, regular hot buttons. And 9 times out of 10, these things can be fixed with teaching a skill, okay? So they're not just doing this stuff to drive you nuts, but the kid who tattles, if that's your hot button, what is a skill you could teach so that they're not tattling?
When you tell that someone hurt, you need to tell.
Right, so like you could set up the expectations that the only time I want you coming to talk to me about what little so-and-so's doing, like with my kids, if you're not bleeding, broken, or puking, I don't need to know about it. You need to figure this out on your own. Granted, my kids are older, that might not be appropriate in the infant room, right? But you have to give them that skill. Like, tattling is unattractive. That is not a friendship building skill. What's friendship building is he's bleeding and broken off
Yeah.
the slide, and you're coming to get me to get help. And you can't teach those things in the moment when you're all miffed and irritated that he's tattling, when he thinks, Nina, I'm gonna tell on you, right? Nobody's listening to anybody when that's happening. But during a small group time, or you're out on the playground, these are times to be having those kinds of teachable moments and discussions when people are calm, when people are in listening mode, not when they're not. So we have you talk about the hot buttons first to let you guys go, bleh, okay, got that off my chest. And if we have so many hot buttons, we have to ask ourselves then as professionals, what am I not teaching the kids in my room that they're still driving me bananas? We have to turn that responsibility back on ourselves because we're the grown-up in there. Yes, Shelley?
But see, you gotta be careful, well, with me, I do, because how you say stuff and how children perceive to take it, because it's like, I was told, what was it, yesterday, I was like, you know what, you need to, I don't, not unless you're her or your helping friend or the talent thing, what you had just said.
Sure.
But it turned around and bit me in my little behind what little bit I got back there. But it was like, well, you know what, Michelle, I'm gonna tell my mom, hold up now. See, but I have to reframe that because that's the first thing when I get upset with them. I'm gonna tell your mom, but I didn't like how it was reversed on me with that, so that it made me turn around and think like, look what you did. Now, you don't like to be threatened with their mom, they don't like to be threatened with their mom, but they turned around
And did it back to you.
back to me. So then after that, I was like, you know what? Now that made me reevaluate on what I say to them and how I say that to them, So
Absolutely.
not to use that as a threat. So tattling, now I kind of see on their level what they mean by that, And
Absolutely,
be
absolutely.
responsible.
And explaining your reasoning to them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a big thing. Nobody likes to be told because I said so.
Right.
You know?
And nobody needs to have things explained to them in the midst of while they're not listening and tuned out.
Right.
That's the other part. Like
Right.
you could talk to your blue in the face, but
Not received.
you're not gonna be heard, right? So that's kind of why we did that, so that we can really start thinking about what skills can I teach to replace these nasty little behaviors they got going on. Okay. You guys should have this next activity in your little packets, I believe. Do we have time to do it before lunch?
I don't think so. It's a little 5 minutes. I should be able to.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and push through and get this activity knocked out so that it makes sense to start.
Has everybody got it?
What is this, what does it look like?
It's
Is it reframe one?
reframing activities, the chart, two-sided.
Okay, so you guys can stay at your tables. It's gonna be 5 minutes long. So the reframing activity, he whines from the moment he gets here until the time he gets on the bus to go home. Reframe statement, possible response, he must really miss his family. So you can go at your tables and do the remainder of the reframing activity. And I will give you 5 minutes to do that. With your group at the table. Your table groups, where you're sitting. So.
I'm gonna turn on the light so you can read the sheets. And be prepared to share back with the group.
All right, we're gonna take 3. A problem statement and a reframe statement. Does anybody want to share from their table? By a show of hands. I saw you guys running away a whole bunch. Sharon, thank you.
Dropping different toys on the floor, like out of a bucket,
Just pouring. That's all.
Dumping.
Dumping and pouring.
Cleaning up.
And the refrain statement was, may not have a variety of toys at home.
Okay. I like that. they're excited to have all the toys, like, wow, this is a lot. I want to play with everything.
Now,
Yeah.
at one time.
Yes.
From putting myself down, from them putting themselves down, we were saying that maybe they were wanting reassurance that they're not getting at home and wondering what they're hearing at home about themselves.
Right, we do this as adults, right? Oh, I don't know, I think I put on some weight. This dress doesn't fit quite right, because all we want to hear is, you look beautiful. Right? You look amazing. Because we need that validation or reassurance. So that's a really great way to reframe that. Validation, or what else? What did you say?
Wondering what they're hearing at home.
Reassurance, I think. Okay.
And we're gonna take one last one, and they're gonna break to lunch. Celicia.
We're talking about how they're always building guns, and we're like, maybe their family's hunters or in the military.
Yeah, that's a good one. We are a military town.
Oh, thank you. I kept writing guns, but I thought it was great.
So in that case, is it okay to tell them you don't use weapons at school, or?
Absolutely, like there's a zero tolerance policy at your school, you gotta enforce it, right?
Correct.
But it's also important to acknowledge that that's a good wondering statement, so you can say, you know what, Jonathan keeps building these extravagant assault rifles during center time, and I was just curious, are you prior service, are you active duty? Oh, well, that's kind of a problem here at school. Thank you for your service. But I need you to help me make sure he understands that at school, there's no time for guns, and if you allow guns in your home, or that gunplay or combat or whatever, that you make sure he gets that time at home, outside of school. I think that's a safe way to have that conversation. Yeah, that's good. So we're gonna break for lunch, and you guys really have until 12:05. No, 1:05. We're going back in time. Jeff, welcome to my time machine. If you leave campus, be safe on the road. If you leave like 5 minutes to the thing, and you know you're gonna have to ring the doorbell, let one of your buddies know to come let you in.
No, I tried to store phone
Welcome back from lunch. I hope it was delicious. We already did the activity small group. It was a really good one. These are essential caregiving characteristics: response, quality, synchrony, and mutuality. The highlight of this is research has identified characteristics of caregiver behavior related to infant and child attachment with social and emotional development. Like with home visits, coaches can help caregivers consider these characteristics for interactions with infants and young children. These characteristics give us specific things to focus on as caregivers and as teachers. They can be used to evaluate caregiver-child interaction and help us in self-reflective in our interactions. For example, while interacting with a child, you might ask these following questions. Did I respond right away? Was it related to what the child was looking at? Was it my effect? Was I looking at my phone while responding to the situation or looking at the baby? That response would have to change immediately. Positive attitude, stimulation, and support. What does it look like to be successful, to struggle, or teach characteristics? Positive attitudes towards children, stimulation, not having the appropriate amount of toys and having children fight over the toys and stimulating. You want a good amount of toys to have less behaviors and they can manage their temperament. Play and encouragement, so when they're playing, always do support, like support the play. And availability, make sure that you're available for all the children at that time when you're doing circle time, centers. We have to think, I'm going to learn to connect with the child with the challenging behavior. Think positive about it. Don't start, oh my gosh, I wonder if little Timmy's gonna be here. But what can I teach little Timmy today, rather than being the other way towards Timmy. A reminder, temperament and attachment. You're going to look out for handout 5.3. And there's a full version of this on WWB, our central website, or this NCBMI. Defining social development and evidence-based practices, the correlation of temperament and attachment affect the relationships that we build with children. We need to be sure that we read their temperament, acknowledge our temperament, adjust and engage in positive interactions with the child to build trust and develop a nurturing relationship. A child's temperament may remind us of a sibling or someone else, and it will impact how easy or challenging it is to attach. Remember how intense a child is, how loud a child is, or how withdrawn a child is the reason, is how it's easy for a grown-up to attach. And this is what handout 24 looks like. Sorry. You guys have it, if you scroll down all the way to the end. And it's just ensuring infants and toddlers have strong attachments and safe, affectionate, and enduring relationships with family members and teachers is important because children learn important lessons about themselves and others from their attachment relationships and experiences. Infants and toddlers develop secure attachments with special caregivers, family members, and teachers over time because of responsive, affectionate, emotionally available interactions. So that means like when they're having a breakdown, we're emotionally there for them. We're there to facilitate their play, to see why they're crying, and help them use those words to get them out, or you can just talk to an infant. Sorry about that, guys. Can I have somebody read this statement? What is attachment? Go ahead, Andrew. Thank you.
Attachment refers to the continuing and lasting relationships that young children form with one or more adults. Attachment refers especially to one child's aspect of the adult-child relationship, the child's sense of security and safety when in the company of a particular adult.
There are 3 videos to show during this activity, and the videos are from CEPL, Infant and Toddler Preschool Module 1. A brief overview, the video shows example of responsive caregiving. What were the essential caregiving characteristics that we need to ask ourselves? Ask them to, what they notice about the interactions between the 2 young children and their adult caregivers. And then we'll debrief after the videos.
Is this what we're talking about?
Excuse me?
We're watching
Yeah.
a video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. And it's the double one for infant and toddler.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah, there's 3 videos.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's pretty.
That big red one. Oh. It's much nicer to chew. It's much nicer. It's very heavy. You are getting so strong. Oh, you like the cat corner?
Okay, in the last video, what were the interactions with the child and the teacher? Excuse me? Facial expression? Facial expression, like she seemed really interested and engaged in the conversation. Good. Anything else?
What she liked and what made her happy and
Yeah, so she was showing a real interest saved her life. Yeah, like if you're really interested, it's like, wow, that's a good one. Also, on the eye level, like they're connecting, they're sitting down, but they're talking and engaging in each other's conversations.
You can tell that they had more conversations prior to this because the teacher obviously knew the after-school program she was talking about.
So she was
Able to.
She was invested in the relationship already, yeah. Yes.
They had really good communication.
Yeah, it was really good. It was just, I liked it because she just seemed really interested. Like, I would feel really good if somebody, being young like that and somebody showing that much interest, that's awesome. Go ahead, ask Licia.
She had a response for everything she said.
Yeah. So she was, and she was really paying attention to her, yes.
I really liked the caregiver and the child on the couch trying to open. You could see the persistence. You could see, like, I'm here for you if
Yes.
you need help. I'm right here.
Yes.
But she was allowing to have her do it herself and
Yeah.
obtain that skill and
Yeah.
feel proud of herself, of doing it herself. And you could just see the interaction and the responsive caregiving.
So she was giving the child on the first clip where it was, they were on the floor. So she was waiting for a response, like she wasn't pushing. She was just allowing the baby to do it on its own time. That's a really good one. And what about the second one where the little girl's trying to open a little stick? Or I think it's like a fruit roll-up.
But that's what she was talking about.
Oh, that's what you were talking about?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
That lady had the patience of a saint.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, just give it to me. Right, right.
But I like that she repeated what she said also. She's like, okay, okay. I like that too. What about the first flip?
I mean, it's the baby, so she tried to read the book, but understood that in the end, that made the baby happy. There's something I'm going to choose in this book. And she let the baby be happy instead of trying to push her to do something.
Right.
The baby redirected her.
More nurturing relationships, right? Very good. I think that's you, Nicole? So you're up.
Okay. I think we have too many lights off. I think that's what, let's not help that situation. There.
Major messages. Families are essential component of their child's social and emotional development. Research suggests that family-centered intervention is the most effective tool for supporting partnerships. Acknowledge, ask, and adapt, and offer help. Helpful strategies for resolving conflicts and when if they arise. Coach is an effective tool for teaching new skills to families. Additional resources are available through CESFL, again, that NCPMI. And if you want to pull out your activity FATSI, what will I change in my behavior in regard to this topic? What will I apply to the families and the children that I work in regard to this topic? What will I take back to my team or coworkers in regard to this topic? And I'll give you a few minutes to fill that out. And if you get done with this early, if you want to go to our PTAtrainingquestionpro.com, please do that so we can further our classes and have it as cheap as we do, so we can keep the classes at the same cost. Okay, quality improvement, what went well today? Is there something that you enjoyed that went really well?
I
Brian?
enjoyed the last activity that we did, the last small group activity.
I enjoyed the first activity that we did with the eggs.
The introduction?
That one I don't like.
I really enjoyed all the activities.
All that.
I had fun with all of them.
Anybody else?
It just so happened, I think, that today, a lot of the issues or the challenges that we talked about today, I've been recently experiencing in my own classroom. So it was really relatable, and
So
I'm gonna take it back on Monday and hit the ground running.
Nice. Jen?
I kind of wish that we did the ball stand up.
A little bit more. Okay. Anything that needs improvement?
I don't know if it needs improvement, but it sounds like some of the groups got really into the role playing, and it might have been fun to be able to observe those.
Oh, so
You
maybe
know,
we
like
have a
work
good
in a small
chance.
group for a smaller amount of time and then pick one. I don't
Okay,
know,
so,
'cause it just sounded like some of them really got into it.
okay, getting to see the role playing. Anybody else?
It was fabulous.
It was fabulous. Thank you. Awesome. Yes, Tiffany?
I felt like you brought more of your personal life into the speaking today, which was really nice.
Thank you.
Like, everyone was honest, you know, we all have struggles. We can work on and better that way.
Absolutely. Shelley?
Yeah, you did a really good job to say it was your first time teaching. You did a really good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I do love your energy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. So I think we're really good on the Q&I.
Next class.
Next class is on next Saturday, so be on time, and again, contact us at Fairbanks Plaza Flower Center for Social Emotional Competence and Inclusion, University of Colorado in Denver. Any questions, you can like us on Facebook, and have a good Saturday.
Happy Easter.
Take your trash with you.
I need your role plays, I need your scenarios left with the people as well. There's a bag. Check your floor around you, please.
Yes, no, it's fine.
Enjoy your weekend.
So happy Friday, and then don't forget to class.
There you go, nerd.
Yeah, we need to. We love my top half.